Hello. This is week 6, and so according to my recollection, this seems to be a lot about, again, still about our, je ne sais pas, our experiences in the classroom, right? And so, the last vlog I had talked about my high school experience, and that's kind of been the focus with a lot of these vlogs. And I would love to report in on the other side, on elementary school. So I teach at 2 different elementary schools with my mentor teacher, Eben Agbula. I teach at Portola Springs, Oak Creek Elementary School, and Bonita Canyon. So actually 3 elementary schools. I teach 4th through 6th graders there. And it's the placement of all of these classes are really beneficial as well, because I have Bonita Canyon, which is a very tiny school. I have Portola Springs, which is a medium-sized school, and I have Oak Creek, which I have a very big school, right? And lots of very big classes, right? And so it is kind of interesting to me to see the difference in giving lessons, right? Because this is also around the time that Micro Teaching 2 was taking place as well. And so to kind of reflect on that, right? Teaching lessons to these students has been wildly, drastically different from all of each other, right? Bonita Canyon is one of my favorite schools just because it's so small, right? The class sizes are less than 20 in each of them, the biggest being, I think, 16, right? Super doable, super awesome, and I love teaching in classes of that size, right? I feel like I can give every student their individual attention, right, and what they need for them to succeed. And because of that, we all have a good time and we all thrive, right? In comparison to Oak Creek, my largest school, my 6th grade is terrible. Not really, but like behaviorally, stems from the kind of leadership that had been at the time when they were in grades like 4th grade, right? Where the principal was kind of in some hot water and was a little scandalous in areas like that. So I had been informed. And so these students are in a class of 55 students in a room no bigger than my bedroom right now. So it's very much, I need to teach, but I also need to babysit as well. And so it's wild how different you have to be in those situations, right? I find myself being a lot more stern and a lot more strict in Oak Creek just out of necessity, right? Because unfortunately, in classes of that size, one person, even a slight whisper, is going to transcend into 100 students whispering, right? And so that's something that I've found there. The way that Miss A. Eggman has the class set up is we typically have 3 learning objectives for the day. Those fall within the lines of California State standards for music and stuff like that. It falls within line with very much students will be able to type of lesson planning. And so her style of lesson planning has been what I've been mostly modeling around. My mentor teacher in high school is a lot more, I'm adapting as I go, have a go at it, right? Whereas my mentor teacher at elementary school is very, I'm adapting, but here's what we're getting done every day. And that kind of organization has been wonderful for me. I think it has been super, super impactful to be able to have this sort of structure within it. And I think it's important because it helps the students as well, right? And I would love to see it implemented into, if I do end up at a high school site, into my high school, right? Even though it can be seen as childish, I think it's just something that works and is just good universally. That being said, to talk about the pedagogy between teaching, we can compare and contrast teaching my lesson from last vlog about the composition to this week, or to this week's vlog, because So when I gave this lesson to elementary schoolers, especially at I did not do it in Oak Creek 6th, so that that class was neglected because I know what would happen, right? I really was able to do this with 2 classes, right? 4th grade at Portola Springs and 4th grade at Bonita Canyon. 2 of my smaller classes, and they were really good. Those classes are just generally well behaved, and so I really didn't have too many kids out of the normal. But that being said, I think that the idea of throwing something is just kind of not classroom oriented. As much as I wanted it to happen, I don't think it was in the cards for me. They were much better about it. They didn't throw any pencils. They didn't do that, but they definitely threw them at each other a little bit. And so once it took probably 2 or 3 minutes each time for me to be like, all right, guys, pick up and hold your paper ball, you know. And so that's something for me, especially in like UDL. Like, and I think what's cool about UDL is it just is great on both ends. If it fails, awesome. You know never to do that again. If you do it and it goes great, awesome. That's a tool in your tool belt. And I think just it's kind of this idea of just trying new things to get your point across, right? I tried this both times. It didn't work. I'm never going to touch it again. Although, I'll be honest, I do think that it does have beneficial parts to it. But that being said, I think I think the lesson either way went great. They were much more enthusiastic and not malicious about it, right? And so whatever and it was interesting. I felt my smaller class was much more chaotic than my larger 4th grade class. So this class at Bonita Canyon was much more chaotic than my Portola Springs 4th grade. And that might be because the Bonita Canyon is a class of 8 students. And so they have very much all my time, and they're all friends. And so they all are going, you know, kind of collating together on this kind of activity. And so I think that's kind of something that I noticed and is an interesting observation either way. But that's kind of the gist of my what happens with me on my elementary school days. So yeah, thank you so much.